It's rowing. Someone is going to run around naked. The fact that you won't know about it or photos won't be shared, that's the interesting part. What goes on behind those creaky old boathouse doors? Who's invited and who feels comfortable? Who's safe and who thrives? Who stays and why do some leave? And why do rowers do some of the weird things they do? Let's talk about rowing culture. And this time, let's do it from the perspective of the Third Boat. I'm Jen Butler. This is the Third Boat Podcast. In my admittedly 90s Gen X experience, it's pretty inevitable that someone on a crew team is going to run around naked. Usually a guy from a private school. They will probably have sneakers on. There are stories of crews thinking it is hilarious to row naked, although that seems anatomically problematic to me. And yes, I do find that funny, although I'm not sure why. Rowers don't wear much on the water, so being naked doesn't reveal much. The assumption that no one will say anything or take photos? See, that's the interesting part. I'm not exactly sure why, but I suspect that it's linked to the architecture of the sport. So we need to take a little time to understand that. Bear with me. I know that listening to someone talk about rowing is pretty boring. Knowing these things might help us understand the big questions later. So here are some basics. The main idea here is to win races, you need money, honey. Let's talk about what you need for a Division I team in the US. It's going to cost you. You will need people. Rowers are the ones holding the oars and, well, rowing. Coxswains are the smaller people that lead the team. They're the person with the highest authority in the boat. They direct the boat, execute the race plan, motivate the crew, and steer. They may fix equipment on the fly. In other words, they are the smallest person, but usually have the biggest brain, a complex understanding of human motivation and strategy, and the most calm demeanor. They're hard to find. The next thing you need to know is that you need more than 8 people to make one fast boat. You need the backups, the close competition, because rowers get injured, and competition creates speed. And coaches need to try different combinations of rowers to see what works. So a big program may have 3 or 4 varsity 8s for their women, and sometimes the same number for their men's team. You need a coach with assistant coaches. You need a recruiter, a strength or a weight trainer, medical support. And now to the equipment. In this podcast, we're going to talk primarily about sweep rowing. Sweep means each rower has 1 oar. Sculling is when each rower has 2 oars. To me, sweep is like a marching band and sculling is like a ballet. In U.S. college rowing, folks are typically talking about the 8s. This means 8 rowers, 1 coxswain. You may also see 4s with coxswain, 4s without a coxswain, and a pair. Here's why this is important for understanding the culture. 8s are incredibly expensive. Pocock has a beautiful wing-rigged 8 on its site for just under $68K. Take a peek. It's gorgeous. I've included the link. A used boat made within the last 10 years will start at $18K for a 2014 Best Foley and rise quickly from there. And you may think, but you don't really need the most expensive boats to win, do you? And I would say sometimes you don't need those to win some races. To win national races, absolutely, because races can be won at a fraction of a second. And you should also understand that in order to stay competitive, colleges need to recruit internationally. You typically need to be tall, very tall, and experienced already. So you need scholarships. And you need a waterfront boathouse. Some would argue that you don't, that you can row out of a shipping container. And you can, but you can't win that way because international recruits, future Olympians, don't want to row out of a shipping container. The other thing you need to know is that it can be dangerous. When rowing shells go out, there are safety protocols, there are chase boats, the coach's launch, but nothing can argue with the fact that young people are out on the water in a river or the middle of the lake. And it's rare, but they can die or become seriously injured. In 2019, 12-year-old Irish rower Amy Mulcahy became trapped under a boat after it capsized on the River Shannon in Limerick. She survived but has life-changing injuries. In the United States, 4 rowers died in 2021 and 3 died in 2022. So, back of the napkin estimate, with 8 varsity boats, 4 novice boats, a university can easily have over 100 young people rushing 60K boats onto the water and back within the span of 2 hours. So this informs the need for discipline, which some can argue is manifested in the culture. In order to make sure that everyone is safe, there needs to be order, several plan Bs in case of change, very skilled and respected coxswains. In other words, a large rowing program typically has the strongest, most efficient culture you will ever see. It has to. Thank you for listening. This is the Third Boat Podcast, and I'm Jen Butler.